Poke my head up front. Say hi to everybody.
Oh, shoot. My bad.
Everybody, we are going to start our meeting here soon. So today is our individual giving meeting with our candidates. Starting us off with some community building to begin with, of course. And then we're gonna have a 25-minute presentation about community-centric fundraising. Don't worry if you've never heard that word before, it's gonna be defined, we're gonna talk all about it. And then we're gonna do some individual giving stuff for 20 minutes, which, like I said, will be explained by the campaigns committee a little bit later. And then we'll finish with our collective breath and questions and committee time as well. All right. Also, since Shivani is not here today, I will be leading community. Oh, Sam's continued on, all right, Sam's got it.
What's up, guys? Before I forget, I'm Sam. My pronouns are he and his. Shivani's not here, so I'm going to do community building today. So basically, you need some sort of way to record your thoughts. So whether that's like the notes app on your phone or a piece of paper, or if you trust your own memory, I guess you can do that too. And then take about 5 minutes to think about why GlowMed is important to you, what you've gotten out of it so far, how it's inspired you personally, professionally, anything like that. And make sure you really think about it and really write down all your thoughts, because this is going to kind of come back later on in our meeting today. So yeah, go ahead, and then afterwards we'll have you sort of pair and share.
I was gonna say, I'm just thinking about this way too much. Oh, can they hear everything we're talking about?
100%.
It's
It's also it'll be immortalized on YouTube. Don't worry.
perfect. I love that.
So yeah, you can always send us an email to send to yourself out if it's anything incriminating.
Cut out for the one really bad to me. Just listen. Jacob.
Yep.
Jacob. We just had 2 minutes ago. Let's get back to everything I just said. I put a lot of reflection stuff. So I thought about this. Look at them actually typing it out. I'm so proud of them.
I got like 6 pages in my Grow app, so no, probably like 4.
Wait, isn't that cute though? Oh, yeah. Little look how big their look at this. Like this like takes the car to the final step and like flip. I got a dot. It's around the touch the painting. And like we were like she's like dropping skyrocketing. Oh, you guys figure it out? No, we ran out of time. She was like, we just had to hit the car with painting. Or hit the painting with the car. I was listening to last year. Basically, no, I just painted. I just know I don't know. But and then they were like, yeah, let's just like whack the paint in the car instead. She was like, okay.
It's like both of you.
I like open this afternoon. Because I started working on mine and I was like, oh no, I've left it far too late. For what?
Oh, that one, I did in like 2 hours. I was like,
Oh, mine sometimes taking because I had an idea and I just I didn't have a fun place where they get a laptop sticker.
Alright.
And let it get
Just gonna interrupt you guys real quick.
Red bubble.
Take your pairs if you have them right now and change it to like a group of 3 or 4 to just sort of like amplify the discussion a little bit and, you know, bounce ideas off each other. Because like I said, like the more you guys think about this, the more helpful it's going to be with what we talk about.
All right, I'm popping in with you guys. Oh. So,
Who wants to begin?
I can kick it off.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so I think one of the things that GloMed has helped a lot with me is discussing like uncomfortable truths and discussions and just being able to have productive conversations instead of just, you know, stating facts and, you know, putting them out there.
Yeah, definitely changing my perspective a little bit, just like exactly what I've taken for granted, and just like trying to see things from
Did you point that right at me?
Why?
Why?
they're looking at you.
It's
Dude,
Jacob
I
and the rest.
adjust myself specifically to get away from the camera. Aimed it right at me.
Yikes.
I don't know what to do with my hands,
Embrace
man.
the center of attention.
She was filming the whole time.
Right, just
And you
follow
noticed
the
I
whole-
don't send it, you know.
Oh, your hands aren't even in frame. No.
My hands are, now they are.
Just be normal. Keep going.
Anyway, yeah, I definitely like only thoughts in a more like coherent way. Because I feel like we have a space, like, I don't know, like that norm, like permission to be valued or whatever. Just like being able to like fill it out, like however it comes to me, like here, and then like discuss it and make it like prettier, makes it easier for like seminar when we did the diversity, equity, and inclusion, where we just talked about maybe like stereotypes or it's a lot about like racism and stuff like that. And it's kind of like similar topics that we talk about here, and I can feel like I can talk about it in like larger groups and feel like I'm making an educated statement and not just like talking out of my ass. You know what I mean?
Kind of sidetracked. I really like that DEI seminar series that Tyler put on. I know you did a good job with that. I know you.
I don't know how in middle school that was your first year. Second year, your first year.
Oh, second year.
Second?
Yeah, that was online last year. So.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys.
I don't know, I feel like my first year was in this year.
So
Didn't know anything.
Shivani has wholesome memes as usual, but I haven't looked at them, so you guys are welcome to look at them for a few minutes or a few seconds.
Aw.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Scott. The one on the left, thoughts and details.
Will always be our opponent. That's funny. All right. Can you cheer back?
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Maria. I'm a pronouncer, she, her, hers. This year I'm the donor relations coordinator, and I'm really proud to present that our campaigns committee is going to be hosting our community-centered fundraising discussion, along with the introduction to our largest campaign, individual giving. So I'm actually going to hand the mic off to Sam for the next portion of our presentation. For that, I think I'm going to choose some lights. Set the mood.
Yeah, so we're going to show you guys a couple of videos. So this first one is from Saturday Night Live. It's obviously like a satire. It's just kind of meant to like ease us into the topic for today.
Hello, I'm Charles Daniels. Taking villages like this, showing the heartbreak of families whose only mistake was being born poor. They need your help. And for only 39 cents a day, you can provide water, food, and medicine for these people. It's 39 cents. That's less than a small cup of coffee. But it makes all the difference in the world to the people of this village. Ask for more. Ask for more money. I started so long. As you can see, these villagers are desperate for your help. So don't hesitate. Pick up the phone. And what they shoot? Merchant phone. Oh, what? Dial the number and send over 39 cents. That's all we need. Start higher. I know, right? 39 cents may not sound like a lot, but it can mean so much to these families. It's not even a round number. Like if you said $1, I can see how you got this. I get that. I'm just saying, why not start at 99 cents? 39 cents. That's all these people need to survive. And they'd be so, so lucky and appreciative to get it. So for the price of a cup of coffee. The bare minimum to keep us alive. We're not asking for the bare minimum. This number's been decided by very educated and caring people who can save your lives. How?
I could save our lives for only 39 cents. I'm trying to do the math in my head, but I just can't see it.
39 cents is plenty.
He keeps saying 39 cents. Why you keep saying 39 cents?
For the price of a cup of coffee.
Why can't be the price of the Arizona iced tea? 99 cents.
Because it's not the price of an Arizona. It's got to be coffee.
It don't though.
Plus coffee is way more expensive than 39 cents.
It's 39 cents. You know, for a starting village, people have a lot of energy. Maybe people should send a check someplace else. So you're asking for a check? Then why would you ask for a check?
You settle for a check.
It's got to be a check, okay?
Don't though.
Here's your coffee and your change, Mr. Daniel.
Perfect timing, Bella.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, how much does that cost?
It doesn't matter.
I bet you don't even know what country you in.
I too know what country I'm in.
What country? What? If you want to see this cheap ass white man again, you better send us $200 cash.
Okay, so you guys have all seen, I'm sure, like those SPCA ads and like the St. Jude's ads where, you know, they ask for a certain number, you know, of cents or whatever a day or a month. So just start to think a little bit about what are some of the positives and some of the negatives of, you know, that method of advertising fundraising. And then we're going to show you another video that is not satire. It's a real video. So think about the same things with this video, positives, negatives, and then we'll talk a little bit about it afterwards.
What audience? I'm on the beach, and you can hear the waves crashing, and you would assume that on one of the beaches will be paradise. And this is far from it. I've never felt so on edge in when I've been in my child life.
Across Africa, millions of the world's poorest children don't even have a bed to sleep in. They're hidden away in any crevice they can find. So to where they sleep at the just I can't practice this.
You do see them in the day and the kids and they're running around, they're playing football and dancing, and then you come here on the beach and there's loads of adults smoking, and there's just these two tiny little things sleeping in a boat in the middle of Liberia's West Front. This is JD. How long have you been living on the streets?
So, yeah, so I'll be here. Yeah.
What happened to your mum and dad?
Actually, went to that work. Came on. I found out for me. I'll be on
What do you want to be when you're older?
I'll be best.
You'll be the president. Sick. I like that. What would you do if you were the president?
I will be school for employment. I'll be sitting there, I get in one to buy for the children.
Definitely fall in a row. If JP goes to school now, he will learn, he will succeed, but like a couple more years like this, I think that's it. Like he's already quite shut up in the world.
Once we're done here, we're going to pack up the camera, and these guys are just going to be sleeping in a canoe at night with a lot of dangerous people about wake up in the morning and try to fend for themselves. Yeah.
This is the really harsh reality of street children here and across the world. As you're tucking your children into bed tonight, children like JD are huddling together, sleeping outside, in danger, and very, very vulnerable. They really need your help tonight. Please give what you can. Just for tonight. Leaving JD and those kids there was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
That's not feel right. That's all. Yeah, I mean, the only thing we should. My natural instinct is to just put them in a car and just take it and just put them somewhere in a hotel. We do that. Please, can I take them and stay in the house until we get rid of stuff? Just get it. Even if it's 5 minutes to get in the house, with an older person to look after. Because that's the point. Yeah, I just think we should go to that sort of these kids, you give them an education, you give them hope. I think that's the main thing. I don't even think it's just a financial thing. I think it's just someone saying you can be this. I don't know, spend those day it feels meant to be made for a child, and that tugs on your heartstrings, and you donate because you want to help a child out. But I can't. I mean, I think everyone here is filming it agrees we can't leave this place without sorting these kids out. So we are going to sort these kids out. But these kids are just 5 in a million, 2 million, 5 million. There's so many kids that are in the same situation as these kids. And it's really, really important that you donate so we can get these kids off the street into school and give them a future.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, just think about, the implications of this sort of method of appealing to the public in terms of donating. And then, also think about like, if you were Ed Sheeran in this type of situation, like what might you do differently or what might you say differently? So then we also have some discussion questions. So I think we're going to have people split up into their committees.
Yes. Depending on how big some committees are, we'll have to move you guys around. But you're going to stay with your committees later on, so just try to gravitate towards your committees, and then we'll move people around.
Yeah. Okay. So before you guys do that, so
Real scenario that's happening.
both of them like kind of looked down on the communities that they were like trying to serve. And they seemed really uneducated about the communities and didn't have like an equal partnership with them. We thought that was like a very good thing of both those videos. And then when we talk about poverty tourism, maybe the big thing that like sucks the most about poverty tourism is that it doesn't like impact sustainable change. It's just like a one and done thing, which in the long term doesn't really help out the community. And then we were just talking about how like SAW and our partnership with Shaw is like very equal, which like avoids the pitfall like poverty tourism. Anyone else want to add anything?
I could just say a little bit on the last two. I think we had a good comment about, I think someone had mentioned it, about the fourth one was like community input. Kind of like talking about that in the first video when it was satire. So it was the fact that like you see this man coming and talking to the camera and there's people in the background, part of the community who's like trying to put their inputs out there and like just dismissing that. So they kind of brought that up in terms of like what could community-centered fundraising might be.
All right, well, thank you for sharing back. I guess I'm gonna make the mic optional. Do you have a mic?
Yes. Okay, so now we'll be hearing from partnerships. Here you go.
Alright, so we also kind of discussed about how in each video there seems to be like an education between the two people, Ed Sheeran and the other guy, and especially how they don't necessarily like listen to the communities, especially in the first video, which was obviously satire, but like he wasn't listening to what they were saying about needing more than 39 cents, or necessarily he wasn't advocating to give them more either. It was just the bare minimum. And then we also talked about how Ed Sheeran, although it's good to like have a celebrity like who has a large platform showing support or like trying to raise like help this community, because it's going to be effective, more effective than like a random person necessarily. It wasn't necessarily effective either because it wasn't community centric. Because although he like was coming up with ideas on ways to like possibly help, it was like more band-aid ideas that weren't going to fix the actual problem, as well as it wasn't geared towards what's beneficial towards the community and the people in the community. And he didn't necessarily understand the relationships in like between communities, especially in the area. And that was very important towards community-centric fundraising. Okay. Does anyone add anything? I think that was it.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, so there's now
So for the first one, we definitely said that the video made us a little bit uncomfortable in the way that the information was being presented, and I think it comes down to a lot of like what we understand of maybe how you should talk about people in the community that you're helping, and like you said, like talking down about the community, or we talked a lot about talking for people. And so it was very much in both videos, obviously one was satire and one was Ed Sheeran literally just talking the whole time. And like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the people in Ed Sheeran's video didn't say much ever. It was just them like trailing him. Instead of hearing about like, what is your actual experience? What is your day-to-day life here in this community? It was just him being like, they're on the streets, sleeping in this canoe. Like, that doesn't help much. And then we talked about how it doesn't necessarily talk about where the money's going or what they're actually doing with it. It was like, oh, it briefly talked about getting kids an education, which is a good point. But if an issue stating these, or stating, like, that's not exactly what I mean, that's what he was seeing himself as doing, right? Like, stating these 5 kids, helping those 5 kids or throwing money into this isn't necessarily going to help. Like, what does that education system look like as a whole? How can you provide more stable housing? Like, this is a much bigger issue. And then I think it was Emma who brought up a good point of that there's probably organizations in the community that are already addressing these issues. Like, the people in those communities aren't blind, they're living it day to day, and they probably have a better idea of how to address this. And then as far as like community centric, it's kind of the same thing of like listening to the voices of the community. Hard Worker gave us a great example about how like keeping all of that within the community, like doing your fundraising within the like our like not the community giving money to themselves, but like having events there where like she's an example of like PTA. So that's why I say that, where it was more like very much like listening to the people who are experiencing things, and that's what it all comes down to, I guess. Sorry if that was chaotic.
Snaps to that. This is like a norm that we haven't done in a while, but like if you vibe with something that somebody says, snap it. Somebody else, please.
So we kind of talked about like everything that they did too, about how a lot of it we felt like was that they were uneducated, and we like being able to see the satire one and the Ed Sheeran one after each other, because we got to see like a bunch of similarities and like things that they were making fun of in the satire one being shown in the Ed Sheeran video. We thought that they were kind of like in a way exploiting the children, like they said, like they didn't really get to like speak that much. It was more of just like Ed Sheeran saying, like he said a bunch of like uneducated things, like he had good intentions, but when he was like, can we just take them in the car and like leave? I was like, and
yeah, and I think we also noticed about a lot of those videos were pretty donor centric, and that they were really uplifting the people who are going to be donating money. They're like, look at all this impact that you can make with just like 39 cents, when they should be focusing on the people that they're actually trying to serve, instead of like uplifting the people who are going to be donating.
Well, thank you everybody for sharing back. Keeping these things in mind as us, a nonprofit organization that has a partnership, is really, really important, especially you know, as we go forward into our careers and how we want to live our lives and support local or global communities. It's really important to think about. So we are going to actually talk a little bit more about community-centric fundraising and how GLOMED strives to do that.
Okay, so a little bit about community-centric fundraising. So I think it was like last summer, I was able to kind of look at a nonprofit, it's for a nonprofit based in Seattle, and they were kind of putting this term out there, community-centric fundraising. It's not like a completely new term, and people have been trying to strive for this practice, but it's a new term and trying to put it to nonprofits. And so community-centric fundraising is this aspect that the way we are approaching fundraising, the way we talk to donors, the way we fundraise, the events we hold, the voice we use to raise that money is very important. Kind of like what you guys were all saying about, you know, we don't want to put down the community we serve based on the videos we show, the images we show, or the, you know, aspects of the language we talk. So our mutual support, respect for our partner needs to be seen through the letters we write, posts we share, and the media we broadcast. And at GLOMED, we aim to do this by centering solidarity over charity. That is actually one of GLOMED's like biggest values as a whole. And last year during GLOMED HQ, I was able to share this kind of idea back to headquarters. And it's something that, you know, yes, nonprofits need to do this more because they're like, you know, full established community, but we can try to bring this kind of topic into GLOMED chapters at, you know, colleges. In at least a smaller way, or with the fundraising that Campaigns does all throughout the year. Next slide. And some of those resources I shared with them was about poverty tourism, which is a big aspect, and a lot of these information, these like articles I can share later, or how to send them to recap email, but a lot of the articles about people who, you know, did see this as an issue, right? They went and actually did what they call slum tours, or you know, poverty tourism tours that they would actually go on. And it wasn't until they literally went on these tours that like, maybe this is not the best aspect. You know, these like tourist agencies, are they putting that money back into the slums, or is it like some external organization exploiting, the area? So the first three links in the sense kind of talking about that, and then it talks about like funding of the poverty tourism, which I think is interesting. It's like first-hand accounts for them, kind of good reads. The link on the top is the organization, or like this group of people who are trying to push this community subject fundraising to nonprofits across the country, and trying to let them put this into effect. As a lot of nonprofits in the US may not have people who are part of that community they're serving in their like executive board and their like leadership, and they want to like be able to change the way they talk to donors. Next slide. I just decided to want to pull some comments out. This was actually comments underneath the Ed Sheeran video. That was very interesting because these are obviously fans of Ed Sheeran, and they're like voicing about this. And it's just basically saying the same thing. They're not empowering the people in the video. It really helps us people give us the power to make a change in their lives, not merely depending on total strangers. Yes, financial issues are a big thing, and they're raising good intentions, but if they don't know what they're funding for, they don't know what this money is going towards. They talk about education, like is this money going for schools? Is this money going for like paying for teachers to come to education? Like none of the information was given. And then also it gives a false impression that donating $3 monthly to a GoFundMe campaign or what you have will instantly save a poor child from starvation, homelessness. They're talking about the whole thing like at your like, I'm gonna give these 5 kids a hotel room tonight, and that was a good way of money for them. What about tomorrow? So, yeah.
So as Kristen said, those resources will be shared out to you. And obviously, like as a student run nonprofit, we're not perfect, but we, take this information as we go. We try to integrate it every year, and we try to make more partnered and community-centered fundraisers, so that we are, putting SAW and the people who live and work at SAW's narratives at the forefront of what we do. And with that, I would like to introduce to all of you our largest fundraiser, which is individual giving. So a lot of you have participated in this before, but a lot of you are hearing this for the first time. So we're going to talk about it, walk through it, and essentially what it is. Every single year, we commit as a chapter and as e-board to contact 10 or more loved ones, mentors, family, friends, and share what SAW is doing and how they can learn more and support them monetarily. So each year, as you all have heard many times, we aim to raise $10,000 with individual giving. If you go to the next slide, we make about half of the funds that we send to support CHOP and all of SAW's other initiatives, just with IG. And that's about, like I have up here in a typical year, about $5,000 or $6,000. With all of us, putting our best efforts into this campaign, we could potentially raise $8,000. The average donor, looking back at how individual giving campaigns have gone before, have been about $30. And the people that are donating are people that are investing in you and the things that you care about, and how we can leverage that for SAW to support their initiatives and to share like the work that they're doing in their community can be accomplished like through this campaign. So I wanted to share this with you guys just so you have an idea of how impactful and how effective this campaign could be. But as I said, it's not just like getting people to donate to us. It's also about sharing like how SAW is impacting the community and what you are gaining as a student. Okay, so what exactly goes in the letter that we're sharing with people? How are we reaching out to people? Each year we're going to this year we're sending a Google form where you get to put in the context of who you want to reach out to, and then you're going to be including a little personal note. You don't actually have to make an ask. I know sometimes it's like really awkward to ask people for money. We just want you to share like why GloMed is important to you, why you want to support SAW, and why you think you're just drawing on your personal experiences in GloMed to help push this forward. So we're including a how to give sheet, how people could give back, and how they could subscribe to other things that we do through our like email campaigns, and the formal letter. I kind of went in a backwards order, but I think you guys followed. Okay. The next slide. Yes. Just a quick view of the Google form. You guys will get this. It's set up so that you get like your response back to you, and you'll actually be collaborating with your committee on this too. But yes, you need to like identify the address. If this person has donated before and you want to reach out to people who have donated before, just make sure you like reach out to me and let me know. I can pull it from previous years. Just so you get an idea, you guys will get to actually look at it later on.
Real quick before I start, hi guys, my name is Katie. For those who don't know me, my pronouns are she, her, and hers. Like Maria said, that we will be giving out a Google form for you guys to fill out. And so each person is one form, so you'll be submitting 10 Google forms. And our due date for that right now is November 20th. And with that, I think we have presented individual giving to the e-board members beforehand. So they already kind of have an idea of what this campaign is, and that they have been asked to write their letters already. So most of them have been working on their 10 contacts and their little personal note for their contact. And so when we get together in committee time, I think it would be important for you guys to kind of talk around and ask them questions, because I kind of already have an idea of like what a good list would be for who you should reach out to, and kind of a good way to personalize each letter so that each person is talking to like your specific contact. And we also have created a tracking sheet to be a little more accountable. We have created a sheet so that everyone's name is under their campaign. And I think the names are like green and red. And once we get your 10 contacts from the Google form, your name would turn green again. And so we're thinking that like if your whole campaign gets your names turning green, we're gonna have some sort of prize for you guys. We don't know exactly what, but it's kind of an incentive for you guys to try and get it in as fast as we can and hold everyone accountable.
And of course, like we're college students, we're mindful that like you guys are not going to be able to whip out like 10 like magic donors that are going to want to like give their life savings to GlobeMed, because that's also not the goal. So with that in mind, and because of COVID and the craziness that's happening in the world, like if there is, oh, could you go back? If you're not able to reach 10 contacts, that is like, okay, just talk to one of the campaign's members, and we're coming up with alternate like ways that you can support this campaign. But because it is our largest campaign, we really need all hands on deck, and we would love any support that you could give, even if you can't reach those 10 people. So yes, my contact information is up there. All right.
Hey guys, my name is Terry, and my pronouns are he, him. So here's kind of just like a guide to who you should be asking towards these donations. Of course, like your parents are just one example, godparents, family, friends, mentors, professors. But there are like a list of people that you don't really want to ask, and those are younger siblings, cousins, family members, college peers, GlobeMed alumni, and just like writing multiple letters to the same household isn't really like a good look. So writing to like younger siblings, cousins, family members, and like college peers, you know, like people are broke, so you don't really want to like ask for people that, you know, might not have like the best like financial situation. The GlobeMed alumni, there's actually a alternate campaign that we're doing that specifically towards the GlobeMed alumni. So like that's when we're gonna ask for those donations, and that's why we should not ask GlobeMed alumni for individual giving donations. And here's some helpful tips. So number one, make sure you get the full name of the person as well as their most recent address to make sure that you're mailing like the right place. Keep like a Google Doc ready for your like notes and your like the writings that you can be doing so that it doesn't really get lost. So you can always like copy and paste it into like a Google form. Keep tabs on your email since you'll receive a confirmation of your responses submitted. That's always a good way to verify that you have submitted like the forms, like Google forms. And then something that's like most important and something that I would like to emphasize is that there's like a formal letter that like all the donors would be receiving. That's kind of like just like it talks about SAW and like what we're doing with that. But then there's also like this like note that you're giving, and it's kind of like very personalized, and that's like very important because it shows how GlobeMed has impacted you and what impacts you have made for being in the organization, and it's just so much more like personal. Like instead of like just like sending a letter of an organization that they might know or might not, it's always good to like show like what you have gotten out of the experience, and it makes it more likely for them to donate because they care about you and your experiences. And of course, reach out to Maria, the campaigns committee, if you have any questions. And hopefully we have a really nice campaign. So.
Okay, next slide. Okay, and then you guys will be receiving like all the links that we're talking about, as well as sample letters. So this is just a little bit of a template that obviously like you will need to personalize to make your own, but just so you have an idea of what kind of message like you're intended to send out to the contacts that you're reaching. I'm not going to read through it. Just know that you have this available to you as you're writing your letters. Next slide, please. Okay. I guess I can do this if that's cool. Okay, sweet. I'm all the way over here. So yeah, firstly, thank you to Partnerships and Internal for allowing us some GHG space this semester. I really appreciate that. It's been fun. But yes, if there are any questions, actually, all of our campaigns people are going to be in your committee time for at least the first few minutes. So just keep that in mind. But yes, collective breath time. So does anybody have quotes? Love it.
So I read something on the internet that goes kind of like this. The longer the baby stays in the womb, the younger it gets. So think about that for a second.
Does anybody want to comment? Or have another quote?
I think we have to breathe to that. I don't think you can top that.
You can't top that.
Okay, so with that wonderful quote, I'm going to invite you to soften your gaze, close your eyes if you feel comfortable, and take a deep breath in and exhale. Thank you guys so much. Okay, and as we said, it is committee time. Go ahead, you're already kind of in your committees. Go ahead and talk to each other about how you want to collaborate on getting, the Google Forms submitted by the 20th.